In 1958, an aeroplane carrying members of Manchester United's team and staff crashed on takeoff at Munich Airport, killing 23. 8 members of manager Matt Busby's celebrated Busby Babes perished in the accident. The team that had lifted the Red Devils from mediocre form all the way to the top of the First Division had been dealt a devastating blow. Many believed that they could never recover from such a disaster. However, every disaster brings with it tales of great heroics, and even the most pessimistic supporters could not help but be inspired by the miraculous tales of survival that emerged from the Munich air crash wreckage. Although nobody could foresee it at the time, one young footballer who was dragged from the burning plane by goalkeeper Harry Gregg would not only go on to play football again, but would eventually lead United to European Cup victory in 1968. He would also play a pivotal role in winning England its first and so far only World Cup. Then teenaged Bobby Charlton escaped the disaster with minor injuries and scant recollection of what actually happened before the crash. But even today, he finds it hard to come to grips with the fact that he was chosen to survive such an horrific event, while so many others perished.
I don't understand why I was okay, you know, and they were killed. I never come to grips with it. I see quite a few of the relatives, you know, from time to time, and I do feel a little bit guilty. I mean, I can't help it, unfortunately, but it was an unbelievable tragedy. And I hope it never happens again.
In one fell swoop, the thriving club that had just won its way through to the semi-finals of the European Cup was torn apart. Not surprisingly, Manchester United's European Cup dreams stalled at the next hurdle, and the club set about the monumental task of rebuilding the team. If there was a man Busby could rely on in his club's hour of need, it was Charlton. In fact, it wasn't long before he was drafted into the England team, where he set about forging a reputation as one of his country's greats. In a storied career that spanned 3 decades, Charlton's crowning moment came in 1966, when England hosted the World Cup. Charlton had been a key player in England's qualifying matches, but was well checked by West Germans Fritz Beckenbauer in the final. It wasn't enough to stop the hosts, however, who went on to win 4-2 in one of the most thrilling finals in World Cup history. 2 years later, Charlton was given another opportunity to celebrate another record-breaking win in English football history. After many semi-final losses, the 1968 European Cup was Manchester United's shot at glory. With Charlton in career-best form, United went all the way, beating Benfica in the final at Wembley. United took the final 4-1, with Charlton one of those finding the back of the net. Only 10 years after Matt Busby had seen his dream team destroyed, Bobby Charlton helped him achieve the impossible with Man U's miraculous resurrection. His side had been the first English club to win the coveted European Cup.
This was a win for Great Britain.
In 1970, Charlton announced his retirement from the English national team after playing 106 times for his country. 3 years later, he retired from football altogether and played his last game for United in 1973.
It was something special, it was something really personal.
He played a remarkable 758 times for the Red Devils, a record that remained unmatched until very recently, when Ryan Giggs played his 759th game against Chelsea in the Champions League final in May of 2008. Since retiring, Charlton has spent most of his time on the board of directors for Manchester United, which he joined in 1984.